So, in celebration of this episode and of every episode, we're here on location at Good People Coffee Co. I'm Leah, LA in flight, drinking a purple nurple, which is an ube latte with espresso in it. Yeah. What about you, Trizzy?
What's good, guys? Trizzy here. I am drinking ube latte with oat milk. Simple. This is so good.
Yeah.
Ube
Mine
is
has
very
oat
strong.
milk in it too, yeah.
Yeah. Cheers to another
that.
great episode, great conversation, and good people.
Yeah.
We're starting a new series that highlights local business owners and dives into life, business, travel, and more. Because we all know local shops are the backbone of any community, and we try to show them the love they deserve.
We buy and support local wherever we go, whether it's shopping in Southeast Asia or right here at home in Los Angeles. Be sure to give these local businesses a visit or a follow.
This is Leah and Trizzy, and we are two voices, two views, and two ways to adventure from anywhere.
We prioritize travel in our lives, and we both travel very differently.
Every other Wednesday, we drop episodes featuring the coolest travelers around the globe, local business owners, community episodes from you, and of course, us, your resident travel lovers.
This is Ticket to Anywhere podcast. Watch us on YouTube or anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Safety Wing is the world's first international travel medical insurance developed to meet the needs of entrepreneurs and remote workers traveling or living abroad worldwide. The Safety Wing Nomad Insurance includes both travel and travel medical insurance, which includes coverage for any travel delays, lost checked bags, emergency response, and natural disasters, plus coverage and access to qualified global network of hospitals and doctors for unexpected medical problems and accidents, and any emergency medical evacuations. You can sign up for Nomad Insurance even if your trip is already happening, or sign up in advance by selecting a future start date. For only $42 per 4 weeks, you can be covered under Safety Wing and its Nomad Insurance. Click the link in our description for more info and to sign up. Safe travels!
So here we are at Good People Coffee Company out in Santa Monica Boulevard, West LA, with Chuck, the owner, the founder, head barista, right? What do you call yourself?
I like creative director.
Oh, I like that too.
Yeah. I come from the world of design, but I've really seen how that title really translates across the board.
I see it through the Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then all the merch too.
Yes.
You design all the merch?
I do.
Oh my gosh.
Do a lot of graphic designing. I work with a really good friend of mine, Elise, who's our illustrator. And so I'll come up with concepts. She then adds, her flair to it. And then from there, I work on the composition and stuff like that. So it's really, it's a team effort. But being able to kind of like direct the creativity of it is where I feel like that's where that role makes sense, even from like a drink menu, food menu, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I love that.
It's just like creatively being able to direct it and execute and make sure that it's out there and enjoyable.
That's so cool, and it's like your house, so you can. This is how I want to present it, you know. So the first time we came here, this is like my favorite story of all time. This is why this coffee shop has so much meaning to us.
Yes.
But she is very into fitness. I am sometimes into it. And she's like, hey, this was October 2019. And she's like, I have an idea. But you want to come run the Santa Monica stairs with me at 6 a.m. on Friday? I'm like, no, I don't. But you're one of my best friends. So I will go with you because I'm curious about this idea that you have. I'm like, why could you be dragging me out of bed at 6 a.m. on a Friday? And she's like, yeah, we'll go run the stairs and we'll go grab coffee somewhere. So we ran the stairs. She still hadn't told me this idea, but I'm like, I'm not going to push it out of her. I'm like, I'm just going to let her speak when she's ready. So she gets her London Fog. I know you got a London Fog. I know you did not get a matcha.
Most likely I did.
You got a London Fog because it's 6 a.m. in October and it was cold. I think I just got like a hot little cappuccino. Yeah, because we've never been here before, but we're like, it's always popping. I want to go into it, We sat on the little stools outside.
You lived down the street.
Yes, so I used to live down here. I don't anymore, but I used to live like basically walking distance. And then she's like, hey, do you want to start a travel podcast with me? And I was like, yes. She's like a visual travel podcast. I'm like, I don't even know what the hell that is. But yes, I would like to.
Yeah.
And so this is literally where Ticket to Anywhere was born.
Exactly.
Which is why this place has a special,
full circle.
yeah, special place.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
and it definitely has evolved because this was not
100%.
here, right?
Yeah,
Like back
no.
in the 2019.
I don't even think your
Oh,
food
no.
was not
The
here.
food.
No, it
Okay,
was
tell us.
very-
I want to hear all
yeah.
about this. The evolution.
Yeah. So 2019 was year 2 for us, and it was kind of, we already had the idea of wanting to do a patio. We were running into obstacles from like not having the most pleasant neighbor to allow us the parking space the way it was supposed to be. The lack of resources during the remodel. I mean, everything has been like, no, it's never been investor backed. It's never been like, hey, like I have a ton of money. Like I started off as a barista, saved my money. You know, this opportunity came up, and you know, the shop wasn't doing so well, and the owner was kind of just over it. And so he sold it to me. You know, so
Nice.
I just kind of started bare bones. So everything kind of started from a perspective of like, well, this is what we got. You know, so West LA's got beautiful weather. I mean, we're clearly outside. It rains like 5-6 times a year.
Yeah.
And so outdoor seating, like all my favorite restaurants that have cute little patios. Like, have you ladies been to Justa?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cutest little like patio makes you feel like it makes you feel like you're. There's that one movie with like Brad Pitt that he goes to Mexico and he comes back.
Oh my God.
And it just makes me remember. It makes me think of something like Desperado or something. Like, and so it's like LA has like West LA in particular has this kind of forgiving. That like if it's cringy but cute, like people will dig it. And this whole building, I mean, this building's more than 100 years old. The ceiling inside is falling apart. Yeah, it's super old. And it's like I always have described good people as like an alleyway between two buildings because that's what it looks like. So fast forward to like 2020, where I came up with the design concept, really influenced by New York. I got to do a lot of traveling, especially in 2019 to New York. Cool. I specifically went out looking at different bars have like these vertical spacings. And sushi bars and whiskey bars were the ones that I found did the best job of like setting up a in and out kind of situation. So then January 2020, we set up our bar like this. We set up a cute little outdoor patio. And then COVID hits. And then
there it goes.
And then, for some people, it was, it was something for everybody, The fortunate side for us is that we were actually one of the few coffee bars that had a 2-door system, entrance and exit, where people didn't bump into each other, where people can keep 6 feet apart. And so that's when the creativity started jumping in, from like, let's do it like a game board. Like, it doesn't need to feel dystopian. It doesn't need to feel like it's the end of the world, Yes, is it serious 100%, you know what I mean? But I don't know, maybe my personality isn't one to like mope around about shit,
right.
Doesn't mean you don't process, doesn't mean you don't have a therapy, doesn't mean none of those things. It just means I just choose not to like be pessimistic about things. And so from there, it was just like the restaurant ended up closing down next door. We were able to take over that lease. We then expanded into that kitchen. We partnered with our neighbor to do a whole patio.
Nice.
From there, he's just like, hey, you guys keep it. So it's like, oh, cool. So now it's kind of become event space at times. We've done comedy shows, rock shows. We've done cannabis events. We're hoping to maximize even more of the event side of it, as it just become kind of like people know about it more and things like that. And yeah, we're just excited to be, still part of the neighborhood. We're working on what 2.0 looks like, where you're working on fixing all that like on next door so that the coffee bar can be in there now. And then it can be nicer.
Expansion.
Finally offer like some indoor seating. And things like that,
Honestly, the menu, because when we were here, there was like barely, I think there was just pastries. And I remember coming back maybe end of 2020 or 2021, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's like 5 boards of hot food here. Which is, it's like a whole different operation. I'm like, this is amazing.
And it's all an in-house menu. I would say awesome. the menu's primarily comprised by myself and my good friend Mary, who's also our operational manager. We never intended to have a food menu. Ironically, when we took it over, we were just going to rent it out as a ghost kitchen and like just do like online orders at night. So then it actually kind of started from Thanksgiving dinner 2020. So it's like
Okay.
first Thanksgiving COVID, right?
Yeah.
We have the best place to have.
Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
so we get together and we come up with the Thanksgiving dinner, and I had so much fun cooking with her. We just like, our palates just bounced back and
I love
forth.
that.
We really were able to put together a really good meal that nobody showed up to because last minute everybody canceled on us.
Oh my god.
It was okay because then we
I
just
would've been
ended up
here.
giving
It's
it to a
okay,
bunch of
right?
homeless
Yeah.
people.
Oh,
Okay.
But it was a
yeah.
really
Love it.
fun experience.
Yeah.
So then I was like, let me try again. So we cooked a couple more times, and it was just like, we had the same kind of chemistry like we did on bar, where
Yeah.
we just knew how to compliment each other. And
That's
so
good. Yeah.
from there, our we're both just a couple, at-home chefs that like, we love cooking on our own, and then being able to then bring it in a big kitchen,
Yeah.
and then meeting with our cooks and like, all right, what does it look like if we have to make a bunch of these? Like, how do we prep? And
That's
so
awesome.
that's
Mhm.
it, and it's a fun way of presenting a menu that we feel it's a brunch menu,
Yeah.
but only
Totally.
because we're a coffee shop, and so
Yeah.
those are our hours.
Yeah.
You know, but some stuff reminds me of a very much like a third world country approach to breakfast, which
Okay.
is like, there's most breakfast dishes in third world countries is dinner with eggs.
Yeah. In the Philippines, that's what we do. Like,
Yeah.
you take the garlic fried rice from the night before and you fry it up, put some eggs on it the
Yeah.
next morning.
So the majority of the breakfast comes from like, what's really good about a dish from back home. Let's
Oh,
bring
I
that
love
protein
that.
into
Okay.
it. Let's give it like a classic spin on what like an LA burritos expect, or
Yep,
things like that.
yes.
And that's where our food comes from. Like we like different dishes. We're always willing to explore.
Yeah.
And it keeps it fun.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us know where the
Yeah.
inspiration is from, because I looking at the menu, I feel like there's a lot of like vegetarian options, a few
Mhm.
vegan options.
Yeah,
too, I
a
think.
couple vegan
So,
options. And I
that's
mean,
good.
a lot. I mean, there's one dish that a burrito that I love that is it's from my home country. It's called the Miami Vice.
Okay.
But the reason why it's called Miami Vice because the construction of it is actually something more in dishes you would find on the East Coast because of the Caribbean, Central and South American inspiration in those Latin communities.
Okay.
Whereas here in Los Angeles, we're really heavy-based Mexican with some Central
Yeah.
American
Okay.
influence.
Yeah.
So the Miami Vice comes from the meat of it is a dish in Nicaragua. I'm
Oh,
Nicaraguan.
okay.
It's called bajo, and bajo is just beef shoulder, slow cooked with yuca, plantains. Central American food is high in acidity.
Yeah.
It's not really
Yeah.
spicy.
Yeah.
A lot of plantains, and it's slow cooked in banana leaves, and it's a long process, but the meat of it is so flavorful. And then then the black beans.
Yeah.
That's just a very very staple in these regions. Plantains, and then you wrap it up in a burrito with some cheese and like a cilantro sauce, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's like
That
the
sounds
flavors from
awesome.
there, but
Oh
then
my gosh.
constructed in something
Yep.
you're more familiar with here, like a classic breakfast burrito
Yeah.
that you find in any good breakfast joint.
I kind of love the fusion though, like how, I think in Filipino culture we do it a lot too. We
Mhm.
take the dishes from like the old country and then we like modernize them, I guess.
Mhm.
I love
Yeah.
that though, and I feel like LA is really good at that.
Yeah.
So,
I
that's
mean, I
super
think the
cool.
drinks you're enjoying are definitely an homage to
Yes!
to our Filipino friends,
Yeah.
to like
That's awesome.
what their contribution is to like LA landscape. In fact, I was inspired by this drink by a friend of mine that was running a coffee bar in Filipino town.
Oh,
Okay.
awesome.
La Vida.
La Vida.
Yeah,
okay.
and I had this. I was like, because I always like to order drinks that aren't coffee at other
Yeah,
places.
yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Because it's like either I'm a roaster. I drink so much coffee that it's like to surprise me is going to be rare. So
Yeah.
like I'd rather have a fun surprise and so it's like, all right, give me your funnest non-coffee drink.
Yeah.
Have me
Okay.
drink this. And I was like,
That's awesome.
dude, this tastes like Fruit Loops.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's like-
yeah.
That's
and
the
so-
Leonard Fog.
And so I started looking into what is that. Oh, and then from there, like we have to have it on the menu. Like,
Okay.
I love this stuff.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And one of the main things that you guys try and offer and send the message out is community, right? Just like bringing all the communities together, giving back to the communities, good people, good company, just being together, the togetherness of your mission, of
Yes.
this business. And this is why, like, we are here. We're bringing travel coffee together.
I
So
love that.
actually, that leads me into my next question. Like, so you roast? Do you roast on site?
We used to.
Okay.
We outgrew that, thankfully, and so now
Nice.
we rent out a space once a week, or just
Okay.
get it all done, which is a lot easier too because we used to take us 3 or 4 days. Now we just do it almost
Yeah.
half. But yeah, we and then we've gotten into now focusing more on like our blends because
Uh-huh.
they let us have fun with the branding of it, the
Okay.
naming of it, the way we can kind of. We've also found, honestly, that folks gravitate more to those, and then we've left them more kind of high-end, expensive coffees to other friends of ours, other
Mhm.
roasters,
Yeah.
because that lets us have partnerships in community. And so,
Okay.
you know, I may like. I really like what we do with like the coffee we use for that drink,
Mhm.
but maybe there's like a particular pour over coffee that people will want that has special processing. And for me, it makes a lot more sense to have like one of my roaster friends, like
Yeah.
have them on retail, you know, and then
Yeah.
Right.
I get to taste it, neighborhood gets to taste it.
Mhm.
So it's like we become your nonstop. You know,
Mhm.
like we have the coffees that you enjoy for the beverages here, and then these are the coffees for the people that like to make it more at home, where you're like once a week experience because you come through, you get a bag of coffee, you get
Mhm.
a burrito,
Yeah.
and then cool, we're gonna see you in a week.
Yeah.
You know, and so being able to meet both of those communities is really important
Yeah,
because
of course.
at the end of the day, we're still here for coffee. You
Mhm.
know, so it's like whether the backstory it's like, oh my God, I'm a supporter of good people in the farms that they are part of, or your support, you know, whatever other roasters that we like, because we actually have friends with them, you know, which kind of the name behind good people isn't us. It's the people we work with. It's the people we serve. You're good people, you know, and so it's like, if you're on our shelves, because we think you're good people, like we think you're good roasters, we think you're good at what you do, you know, and the way I can vouch for that is here's my money. Like,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
so to us, it's kind of like that's the sentiment actually behind the name. It's not so much like, hey, we're good people.
Yeah,
Like, you
of
know,
course.
we try to do the best we can, you know, but we'd rather be more like real people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if
yes.
that's seen as good, then cool, you know. If not, then
Right. So did you travel to pick out, you know,
I do.
to the coffee farms?
I do. We haven't been able to go since COVID, but most of the main farms that we use are in Colombia.
Awesome. Yeah.
I have a lot of friends out there. I have like friends from like years, so it's a lot easier for me to navigate that. Plus, my Spanish is super fluent. So
I was gonna say it's like so key that you can
Yes.
speak to them in
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Spanish.
yeah.
I'm like, oh,
yeah, si uno no
Yeah.
llega a sus países sabiendo hablar su idioma, olvídate. And so I'm super grateful that my parents made it a point to learn Spanish. In fact, I came to realize that like it's a lot easier for me to code switch within Spanish, meaning
Okay.
like in Colombia, I sound Colombian within a day. If I'm in Nicaragua and I sound Nicaraguan within a day, if I'm hanging around Mexican people, and I'm speaking Spanish, I'll sound Mexican
Yeah.
within a day.
Okay.
Because I'm really adaptable to the
Yeah.
slangs. And,
Yep.
and I've navigated through all these countries that like I'm aware of like the what's the word in English? Colloquialisms.
Yeah.
That you know stuff
What's
like
the word
that.
in Spanish?
Manerismos.
Oh, yeah.
Things
Mannerisms. right?
like that. Yeah, like dichos
Okay.
would be sayings, you know,
Okay.
and stuff like that, and even how like one country would perceive another. Like I'm pretty aware of it because my Latin kind of friend group is pretty diverse, you know. and so,
Yeah. Okay. So, are you getting your relationships with like the farmers, coffee farms? Are they in the Coffee Triangle? I visited there back
Really?
in 2015 or
No
2016.
way.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, I'm a huge coffee fan. Obviously, I'm not in the
Mhm.
industry, but I'm like, if I'm gonna go here, I want to go to the Coffee Triangle, spend weekends there. You know, went out to like Salento, which is the small town in the center of it all, and visit a couple coffee farms. And I did the same thing when I was in Nicaragua. Also,
Mhm.
I went to, oh my gosh, what's it called? It's like Black Forest.
Uh,
Selva Negra.
yeah.
Up in like the mountains, and I
Mhm.
like stayed by myself,
Yeah.
took a coffee,
Wow.
yeah, and I
That's
like
great.
hiked. I know, I was like looking back on it, Chuck. I was like, I literally walked these like roads with no one on them, just to, like hike from the bus stop to Selva Negra Resort, and like
Yeah.
there was no one at the resort
You
either.
are so
I'm
brave.
like, I mean, I'm a big solo traveler, but I was like, wow, like I did all of that. And then
Yeah.
the town that you stay in, that's right below Selva Negra. But it's like so, and it was good because I got to practice my Spanish, but there was like no tourists there.
Yeah,
I stayed in the
no,
only
not at
hostel in town. It was very, very local, which I loved. And everything was, you know, expensive.
Yeah,
I've been to
yeah.
Nicaragua twice.
That's beautiful.
I love
I've
it,
only
yeah.
been once. You know, being from Nicaragua, I've actually only been once. I got to go about 7 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And then part of my trip, I did go visit some farms. But most of it was just be family. Like I
Yeah.
got to go see the towns
Which
where my
parts?
parents grew up. My dad grew up in Managua, so I got to see that
Mhm.
neighborhood. My mom grew up in Esteli, so that's kind of
Okay.
a different but very touristy,
Yeah,
very colonial
yeah.
city. So I got to see that side of Nicaragua.
All
So,
right. I
um,
see both sides.
yeah,
then, right?
yeah. So it was a great experience. Just telling you, my parents are there right now.
Oh.
I have it on my calendar as parents in war-torn Nicaragua.
Oh, it's sad. I mean, it is.
It's sad what's going on right now. Yeah,
It's been going on for a year. A lot of stuff's been going on for a year.
Yeah,
trying to build that canal through there and whatnot. Right?
The current president in power was actually the man that was the figurehead of the revolution 42 years ago, and is now kind of like, it's like the snake eating its own tail. And which it's funny because I had a really kind of interesting conversation today where they're hoping that like cryptocurrency becomes like the answer to like some of these political issues, because what happened to my family, brief story. 1979, mom's pregnant. They had already lost a child because of bad conditions in hospitals and stuff like that. So summer of 1979, like war is at its peak. Half of the capital is destroyed, so my parents decide to sell one of their houses, get as much cash as possible. They left my grandma in the other house, parked their cars and hid them in the garages, and they said, we'll be back in about a year. You know, we'll go have this one, and hopefully. And so they come. My mom gives birth to me. I'm thinking it in Spanish, and so it gives birth, and then within like 2 months, the Revolutionary Army takes over, and then they change the currency.
Oh my goodness!
So it'd be the equivalent, like I said, we get taken over by another country, and so everything with like Benjamin Franklin and like Andrew Jackson's all like illegal currency.
Oh my god!
And so they lost everything, and so leaning on a cryptocurrency, there's no way to do that. Yeah. And so because it's a decentralized bank, and so it's not centralized by one government. So. But that's what ended up happening to my parents, and so they were forced to then, they were able to get political asylum, and then from there that was their path to their citizenship. But they also had to rebuild. They had to restart everything. They lost everything back home. The government confiscated their things, and it's like, oh my gosh, and they had to start all over. But you know, I think that's where that idea was ingrained in me to like. Everything has an opportunity to start over. So, you know, from what you saw this place in 2019 and you're walking into it now, this is a different place. It's not a different place. It was an opportunity to what does it look like if we give it the best we can. Give it. And so, you know, that's what I learned. And so it's like, this is what it looks like fleshed out in Generation 2.
I love it. I'm a big believer in community also, and I work in events, so I'm creating community all the time. And so I kind of love the space, you know, a lot of people love the intimacy of a small space, and I love that's great. But I think, you know, you're such a pillar in this community in West LA out here. So, like, this is good. It's all good stuff. Yeah. Yes, I love the quotes that you always have on the front board. I didn't check it out today. But they're always pretty funny.
it comes from this kind of like, it's funny because now we have words for this, you know, microaggressions and things like that. You know, I'm 42. So, you know, I got my chops, you know, 20 years ago in the graphic industry where microaggression was just the way it was. And so you always had to learn how to like verbalize your frustration without pissing off, you know, the white person that's your upper. And so, and so, you know, even like that actually phrase stemmed from what LA looked like in June of 2020, you know, and unfortunately our neighborhood was one that did receive some vandalism by individuals that were just kind of looking to do their own thing during this climate. And so we didn't want to put anything like either hashtag this, hashtag that, nor did we want to be like okay, like what in that phrase immediately, like polite reminder, coffee comes from Black and brown countries, to where it's like, it's a non-political statement. It's an agricultural fact. You know, it's offended like 3 people since we put it up. It's really funny.
Do they still buy coffee here?
So
was one of the Yelp question? I saw that one.
Yelp one was an interesting one. There was one individual that went out of his way to send us an email. And the reason why he sent us an email is because he experienced our coffee at a restaurant at one of our wholesale accounts, and he said it was the best cappuccino he ever had. He asked the restaurant owner, he's like, "Oh, where do you get this coffee?" He's like, "Oh, it's a little coffee shop in the West Side. Good people, they roast coffee, and you know, if you want to like get it from the source." He comes here and he's like, "I was so excited to come here, and then I'm hit with this like anti-American propaganda.
Oh my god.
And then he goes into this like this whole like Tucker Carlton version of
No.
how like what I'm saying is actually like creates like wedges between us and blah blah blah. I would very much like my coffee without politics, and so it's like,
Jeez.
I just replied, I'm like, cool man, thanks for supporting.
Yeah. I mean,
From what I in that email, I just read that you bought 2 cups of coffee for me.
Yeah.
right, 100%. You already have his money.
It's
Like,
I'm
that's
cool. It's
yeah.
like, you know, if that's releasing that email made you feel better, then, you know, I was just saying this to a friend of mine. Like, I was like, I don't have any friends that would ever come up to me and be like, dude, I just left the shittiest Yelp review at that place. Because I think that'd be the last conversation we would have, because it's like, man, like, where are you in life that you just be doing that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So I also understood it. I think early on in my career as kind of owner, or at least figurehead, like, I would take it personal. So for sure, my first year, when replies were quite like snarky, you know, and witty, and trying to be like. Now it's just like, you didn't get to me. I went from being really into politics. I remember, especially in early 2000s, when we're, you know, the early Bush era, Iraq War, I was like so angry. I was actually in a political rock band.
Oh.
Like, our songs were like 7-page poems about why George Bush sucked over power chords. It was fun. Sold no CDs ever.
My God.
But it was an expression, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really think that was kind of birthed from like bands like Rage Against the Machine, or like, you know, System of a Down, where we saw these like bands that were like such a heavy presence, but then the listeners that they were able to grab, they were able to feed a message so much that made me want to read it, made me get into history and things like that.
That's interesting.
And then I went through like, I was religiously watching news, and then after Barack Obama's first presidential run, it broke my heart how racist America is.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
man,
Like,
and that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, we I grew up in environments where I was like the only Hispanic kid in class. I remember being picked on for being that. I remember all that. I remember constantly feeling like out of place. But then, you know, as I got older, as my industry got a little more diverse, college was a little more diverse and things like that, you kind of lose that, and then you start hearing it again, and then in the news, you know. And if you think back, that's actually where Trump kind of started getting headlines by Fox, by questioning, like, he started the birther movement, which was his first talking point that got him on Fox News. And then it propagated, and it stemmed to all of this, and it just really bummed me out to where, like, I checked out of all of it.
Yeah.
But Johnny Depp and Amber brought me back.
Right.
No cap. No cap. I'm watching news again. I'm like, yes.
Me too. And I'm on TikTok, and it comes up as the lives, and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna watch this on YouTube. Like, I listen to it while I'm working.
Twitter
It's
is
so
dangerous.
bad.
Twitter got that live going on
Then it's
in
like,
multiple channels.
What does this attorney got to say about it? All right, what is this analysis said about it? Like,
oh my gosh,
I'm
it's
into it. I'm
wild.
so into it.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about the tea. I know it's just too good. I'm sorry. I'm like, let me reel it back in a little bit.
This is actually what Good People is. It should always be about like whatever it just feels like it. It's your experience.
I love it.
I'm glad that, like, I'm not even matcha. Like, I'm not even at coffee. Like, it's just.
No, it's good.
Always the idea of what this place is.
It's her thing.
Just hang, just make it whatever time it is.
Man.
You know?
What about the tea culture here?
The tea culture is fun. It's not as extensive as other places, but we, again, relationship. In fact, I just had coffee with our tea purveyor when I was in Austin on Monday. I just got back from Texas. And so he moved. He used to live down the street. So he used to live down the street, had his little warehouse in Cotner. Then COVID happened. Everybody got shut down. He could not afford to stay in business like that. So he moved his warehouse to Austin, which was the best thing that happened to him, because he was able to expand. He was able to, like, really just take a different pivot in his business. And he's also the kind of guy that goes out to the farms. So about every 2 years, he goes to Japan.
Oh, that's
and it's mostly for 2 reasons. One's to make sure that he actually gets the top quality matcha, because if you're not there, they're not going to give it to you. Like, that culture is very different.
Okay.
Like, to them, it's about relationships. So if you made the
effort
effort to show up, they're like, okay, we owe you the best. And he's very much adopted, like, how to do business in their culture, and it really translates in his offerings.
Oh,
and so incredible. So shout out to Anthony from Zen Tea Traders. It's literally a one-man show. He does it all.
Wow.
You know, he'll send you the entry email. every day he's at a different coffee shop, just building relationships and stuff like that. We're actually about to put his matcha. He started doing little single servings.
Oh,
So we're about to put those on our shelves that has
Okay.
his branding, because we really want to get people
Yeah.
into. And then if you look him up, he's been like on a ton of news stuff and
Yeah,
stuff like that. So
That's
he's really
cool.
really
Alright.
cool dude.
Is
About
he?
that.
Does he do farmers market?
He used to do a farmer's market locally, here on
Okay,
the west
because
side.
I feel like I bought. He does loose leaf tea, not just matcha,
Mhm.
right? I feel like I bought some Zen tea.
Yeah.
Loose leaf
How do you remember
chamomile.
It's kind of like a,
I was like, how do you remember this?
it's kind of like a very thin kind of Z.
Yeah,
kinda,
yeah.
Oh, dang!
Anthony,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, there you know.
She knows.
Good people know good people. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Anthony's been our one and only tea purveyor. We started
Okay.
off with him. We didn't know whether we were
Okay.
going to offer tea, and then like within year one, we were getting enough of a demand for it, and so
Nice.
he was the only local tea purveyor that was wanting to come down and give us a tea tasting. So he
Wow.
came down. He educated the entire team. You know, he's like, you know, we just talked about different projects of how to do different teas, and then from then, it's like it's been probably the longest standing relationship we've had with a vendor
Oh,
as
I
good
love
people.
that.
Really,
I love
yeah.
that.
Come to think of it, yeah.
Tea and matcha, it's like science experiment. You
Yes.
really gotta
Oh, yeah,
get
I
it
bet.
right,
Yeah.
especially the way you whisk or the heat of the water
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
matcha. I
Okay.
feel like I never could get it right though, because I do it at home. But then
You
I'm
know
like,
what the hack is?
damn it.
Oh, tell us.
Cold press. Don't do cold brew. Don't do it hot.
Oh.
Anytime you introduce
Huh.
heat to tea, you run the risk of making it dry or harsh.
Oh,
And
okay.
so what our hack is that we'll do it in batches.
Mhm.
We use a Vitamix. We portion out about 5 servings
Okay.
in with the water, slow blend until it's all at consistency. And then, or we'll use ice to keep it from the temperature from not going past 90 degrees.
Okay.
Wow.
And then we bottle it, refrigerate it, and so it's basically like a cold pressed matcha.
Okay.
Ooh.
So it keeps the color, it keeps the flavor,
That's
and
crazy.
you never have that clumpiness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's such a good tip. I
I'm
love
gonna
that.
try that tonight.
and and that comes from our experience. We're
Yeah,
like, okay,
yeah.
what happens if I get an order of 7 matchas?
Okay.
You know, it's like I'm gonna jump off barbecue quick and whisk all these
Right,
away one at a
right.
time.
Mhm, mhm.
And so you start thinking about like efficiency. How can we make it on a large scale?
Mhm.
And that's helped us build a whole matcha menu. Like the matcha vanilla is like one of the more popular ones.
Ooh,
Matcha
Yeah, I
vanilla.
think we're gonna rename it and just call it the other bullshit.
Yeah,
We have
yes.
vanilla bullshit, and then so
I
like,
love the
other
vanilla bullshit. though.
And so
I love
and
it
yeah,
so
the
much.
matcha with the vanilla works really, really good.
Yeah.
We did another drink with matcha and Red Bull. We did a collab
Yeah.
together, and it was called the Caffeine Queen, and that
Wow.
is a serving of matcha served over tropical Red Bull, and it's really good.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I
Fruity,
know.
kind of like pineapple-y, but then like it
That
has that
sounds amazing.
earthiness that from matcha is really
Interesting. Tropical
like
Red
yeah,
Bull's
like matcha over
delicious too,
sparkling
yeah.
is really good. It's a really
Okay.
fun way of having it.
That's interesting. I know
Yeah.
sparkling's big now. I feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm like, why?
Because it's a fun way to have your
Okay.
same
Yeah.
fun beverages, but in a light version instead
Okay.
of a milk or like okay, well
Okay.
oat milk. It's like, well, what if I don't want either? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's true.
so
That's
yeah,
true.
it's a fun way to kind of keep it fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Yeah.
love hearing the different experiments of these drinks.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've heard of an almond cow.
Yes.
Okay,
Those
so
are good friends of mine.
Oh,
Oh!
really?
Yes, Brett is the homie. Yeah, yeah.
What's
yeah.
up, Brett?
Yeah.
I
we
got
were-
an almond cow, and
we-
I've been making my own concoction too, not just milk.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, I'm like super obsessed with seeing what I could get. There was this drink a few years ago. I went to the Starbucks Reserve up in Seattle. They had this weird strawberry balsamic vinegar red refresher. So just
Mm.
imagine like
Interesting.
balsamic vinegar that you put into salad, but you put in with like strawberry
Yeah. It sounds
in
like
like
a
sparkling,
shrub.
and it's like really good.
Yeah,
So I've been
yeah,
trying to
Recreate.
yeah
that?
recreate it, but I suck.
Yeah, well, yeah, it actually kind of sounds like I may be mispronouncing it. I think it's a shrub it's basically carbonated over like what would be like a jammy, almost
Okay.
kombucha-y
Yes.
kind of high acidic puree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I know what you're leaning towards. This summer we're gonna have a lot of fun refresher drinks. We're really
Excited.
kind of we actually have an in-house drink challenge coming up soon, and so I have to check with with my managers if they want to do it open to the public
Yeah.
or if they
Oh.
want to do it kind of open to like a selected group.
Like
and
a competition?
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
That's awesome.
because that's how drinks get on the menu.
That
you
is
know,
super cool,
they,
yeah.
you know, it's just being a barista is much like a bartender. You know,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just like
100%.
people sometimes they don't when they walk up they don't know what to get or the names are so like
Right.
random. They're like
Mhm.
that conversation is like forced, which is that's actually designed for hospitality reasons to like disengage you to get you to say the word bullshit. You know?
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
love it.
it's like
It's like
you
someone
know.
who doesn't cuss.
Yeah.
Can I get the vanilla
I
BS?
love it when
Yes,
it's
the
so
vanilla
sweet.
BS.
The vanilla BS. It's so cute.
But it's like it's a cafe gratitude where you go and you're like, I am healthy. That's how you order the food. In Venice, I am
I love that.
worthy.
I love
I am
that.
honorable. Yeah.
Hey, leave it
And
to
it's like
LA.
a quinoa bowl.
Leave
Yeah,
it to
I am
LA.
honorable.
Leave it to LA. This is how beautiful LA is.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a chance to visit Balcony on Olympic?
No.
It was a cute little coffee shop.
I've heard
Yeah.
of it, but I haven't been.
Really good coffee. I used to go there before I opened Good People. I still would stop by and visit Ray and get a cup of coffee for him. And Ray, if you're listening, shout outs, brother. Love you. Much, much love. And the beautiful thing about LA is that we are literally parallel, right? I'm on Santa Monica Boulevard. He's on Olympic. Two big streets in LA. Both of us serving really, really good coffees. Slightly different though.
Yeah.
You walk in there, he's listening to NPR. You know, like he's pulling a really great shot of espresso. He'll make you some really great fun pour overs. You come in here, same time, 7:30 in the morning. Man, Megan Thee Stallion's playing.
Yeah.
I
Kanye's
love
playing.
it. That's what I'm saying.
It's all, and so
I love it.
but if you meet Ray and you're like, I see why NPR's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
he's a very his demeanor is very chill.
Yeah.
It's very comes more from like he likes to actually be more of like away from it.
Yeah.
Whereas we're like, we want to engage you. We want your first morning experience to be a good one. Like,
Right.
hopefully you go to work with a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know, whilst there's other people that will be like, oh, I want a very lo-fi experience in the morning, please. I don't want to hear bass and drums till after 2
No,
p.m.
this is
So hey, there's some people who are like that.
Last time I was here, y'all were playing Party Next Door, and I was like, yes, this is my vibe. I was like, yes. Actually, I wanted to, another important moment that I was here when I moved from here back up. I'm in Valencia now. But my last drink out of town on my last car haul was vanilla bullshit. And I'm like, this is so sad. And I don't even know who was making my drinks at the moment, but I was just so sad. I was like, I love this shop and I'm moving away. But I was like, I'll be back. All right, should we move into a rapid fire?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, I came up with some random questions while we're talking.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right. If you could drink one drink for the rest of your life, what would it be? No effects to your body or mind or nothing.
Coke Zero.
Oh,
Zero.
Do you sell Coke Zero here?
We do.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. I like it. It's kind of like Coke, but it's not. So I
Okay.
don't feel guilty. Yeah.
That was good. All right. What's your favorite way to like make coffee? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I was like,
To make, so I'm making it myself.
Yeah.
If I'm at home, definitely a pour over.
okay.
If I'm here at the shop, I'll make myself a flat white.
Flat white.
Yeah.
What's a flat white? Is that
It's the one where you get to do the
mocha
pretty
or-
latte art and stuff like that. It lets
Oh.
you kind of,
Love a
go
flat
back
white.
to and
Okay.
I love latte art. So like,
Okay.
gives me a chance to
That's the
Go
What's
back
your
to-
favorite latte art to make?
You know what? My go-to is actually like a nice rippled heart, but it fills up the cup so big that I found that amongst other designs that I've enjoyed, the heart gets the most
Oh.
quick reaction.
Okay.
And ultimately, the drink is for you and for your eyes.
Yeah.
That's
So
true.
that's one of the things that I've learned a lot here, that there's kind of like a balance between like overdoing it, where someone's like, dude, come on, I'm just going to feel fucking lit on that thing. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
To like, oh my God, I recognize it. And
cute,
people
yeah.
feel really part of it when they can recognize what it is. And a rippled heart is one of the easiest ones to do.
Yeah.
That really is just, it's quick, it's easy, it's recognizable.
You're sending everyone some love. What if they're
Yeah.
having a bad day?
It
They'd be like, this is
Instagrams well.
It
It's like
does.
all that stuff. Like
For
you gotta
sure.
keep that in mind.
It
You know,
does,
it's like
yeah.
I
Angle.
gotta pour something that you'll feel proud to put maybe on your grid. You know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What is the most interesting or crazy coffee experience you've had? Whether it was a drink, a travel,
Mm.
just an
I
experience.
spent $180 on 4 shots of espresso in Australia.
Oh, where? Which city? I used to live in
Ona.
Melbourne. Okay.
So Ona is a particular coffee shop modeled under the owner Sasha Sekta, which is one of my all-time mentors.
Okay.
In fact, we share the same espresso machine. A lot of my mentors and coffee heroes are in Australia, and so he's also very much into competition coffees. And so what he did was he was not only competing, but he's also sponsoring a couple more competitors, which allowed him more access to different coffees. Then what he did was he developed a method to be able to freeze these coffees and then to be able to basically thaw them out to serving, so that a coffee that maybe won, like second place 3 years ago, it's there. And so, we're talking shots of espresso of $40, $50, up to $100, each one of them unique, each one of them extraordinary, but also the experience that the barista offered. It was a very unique experience. Like, as I'm drinking the coffee, I was handed this little sheet about temperature change and like what if I could start notating what fruits I can taste at this time, after this time, after this time. So it really it was a well-rounded experience that I think if somebody like at an entry level would have been mind blown. Somebody already like at a restaurant owner level, I was like, oh my God, this is an aspiration that I get to. Like that if I could create a space that could cater to people that can appreciate this, this is a dream for Los Angeles, And so I think that was, it really was a glimpse of the future of where coffee could be. Like if we're ready to like invest in that the way we invest into things that kind of help us feel fucked up, and not just things that like caffeine's a drug too. It's an upper, like if we would do that like at a bar, like let me get a shot of that really expensive one up there, why not coffee? So
I love
that it really like Ona really like changed my perspective, I don't know if I'm the coffee roaster to spearhead that, but I definitely would be like excited to see if that ever does happen.
Okay,
that's awesome.
That is so cool.
Dope.
Do you have anything else for the Q2A?
I do the typical last question. What's your next trip?
Ooh, what's my next trip?
Yes.
Sydney. I leave next Wednesday.
Oh, that's how you were saying like I'm gonna be gone basically all month.
I'll be gone all month. I get married June 10th.
Oh, congrats!
Thank you.
Congrats. That's
in Sydney.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that is so exciting.
Yes, my fiance lives in Sydney, and so her family's out there. And so we were kind of debating where we wanted to do it, and it just made more sense to do it there.
Yeah.
She's also half Filipino, so Filipino culture. You got to do what the family does. And so I'm really excited to because for me it's a destination wedding.
You're like,
I get to go out there.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see good people Sydney coming up, popping up soon.
It's once they start getting it here, it's really hard to get it out of here. So
I think
to an extent, part of my trip is also going to be figure out the climate, reconnect with some old mentors, kind of see what they think. Hey, what neighborhoods do you guys think is up and coming? Because it's like you live in Valencia. That's where those are places where I see the future good people staying on the west side and working our way up north.
Come up. Oh, please do.
Please come up. The east side is saturated. Downtown is saturated.
We need more competition.
Long Beach is saturated.
That's true.
I want to start working up to 405. I honestly think that's kind of what makes sense for us. If I look at other brands that model that, it was very successful for them. Cafe Lux, is a brand that's kind of stayed on this side of town, and hey, this is where we decided to do it. When you kind of start branching yourself out, it seems like this way it gets a little tougher in Los Angeles, east to west. But if you go north to south, so we'll see what the future has for us. But I'm excited for the next travels.
So cool.
We're so excited for you.
Yeah.
Let's cheers to that.
Cheers.
It's a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Ticket to Anywhere podcast. Don't forget to connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. If you love travel as much as we do, hit subscribe on our YouTube channel as well as anywhere you listen to podcasts such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Pocket Casts. Thank you all for your support so far. When you have the time, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We love to hear your thoughts and feedback, and it'll help others come across our episodes and hopefully be inspired to travel and adventure anywhere.